On this edition of Beacons of Light, we'll focus on a healthy spirit. We're all called to have that healthy spirit, and one way we can achieve a healthy spirit is providing for the health care needs of the poor and homeless. Our community pharmacy does a great job of filling prescriptions of need, prescriptions of love for those who truly don't know where their next heart medication, high blood pressure, diabetic medicine is coming from. We'll share our volunteers' experiences at the pharmacy and why that's so very important to people who had nowhere else to turn. We're a safety net, and that's what our show will focus on, our work in providing God's love to those in need.
Did you know that the first St. Vincent de Paul dining room in Baton Rouge was established in 1982? Located in a small house on South 21st Street, we could only seat 10 people at a time. Volunteers used donations that were left on the back porch each morning to prepare hot, nutritious meals for the needy.
You know, in life, a healthy spirit is so very important. Pope Francis really calls us to redeem ourselves, and his message is one of opening ourselves up to the Lord. Why is that important to a healthy spirit?
You know, when we think about our spiritual lives, we have to think about everything. It's not just the good side. And what do we do as people? We always want to look at the easy part. The easy part is what's working, what's good, and what's great, and let's celebrate that. The hard part is to look at the broken side. What is in need of God's repair? What do we need to bring to the Lord and say, Lord, here I am. Heal me, redeem me, free me, shower your grace and mercy upon me. And it's so hard sometimes for us to go to God and say, Lord, I need you, and I need you to fix me. And I need you not just to fix me, but to convert my heart and to heal my brokenness and to be able to know that God can love us in that. Like sometimes we push away from God and we try to keep God out of the messiness of life. And God knows your mess. God sees your mess, and he can love you through it. He wants to love you through it. But can we go to him?
I mean, sometimes we just got to say, help me, Lord. You know, because sometimes we think we can fix it, but in reality, we can't fix anything. We really rely on the Lord. And even when we do kind of have control of things, we got to remember God is the pilot. We're just there as they're watching on the plane on the trip.
Yeah, we got to let God be God. And look, we don't need to be God. We could pretend like we are. We're both Michaels. We do a good job. But
Archangel.
Neither of Archangel.
That's
not
right.
bad, right?
Not bad.
But we're not God. And we don't have to be God.
No.
And I think in our world today where we're always climbing a ladder and we think we have to be higher and better and stronger, yes, we want to be spiritually strong. But in order to be spiritually strong, you got to give some attention to your brokenness. And I use the idea of physical therapy all the time. If you pull a muscle and something really is hurting, you go to the physical therapist, and what do? They identify what's hurting. And then they give you a treatment plan and say, here's your plan, work on it, and then you'll get stronger. The muscle will heal and you'll be ready to go. Same thing's true with those faults in our lives, our sinfulness, our brokenness. If we identify them, if we bring them to God and say, Lord, here I am, here's what's broken, God will show us how. He'll show us how to fix it. He'll show us how to work on it, and hopefully we surround ourselves with people in our lives, clergy, lay people, friends, family, that will help us through that and give us the strength that we need to work on them. And nobody's perfect. Some people re-injure themselves in the same place time and time again, but we can't be afraid to go to him.
Always remember, help me, Lord. He is there for you, and that is what ultimately will help us all have a healthy spirit. St. Vincent de Paul is full of great members, and joining me today, Lieutenant Colonel Reginald Brown, retired, and talking about your work at St. Vincent de Paul at St. Jude and all the wonderful people. You do have a great mix of people. How many active members about do you have?
Active, probably about 30 or 40. On the rolls, maybe about 100 or so.
Yeah, people that contribute one way or the other.
Exactly.
They may contribute financially, they may contribute like look at the Georges. They're right behind us here doing good work. And as we kind of talk about that ministry, what does it mean to you when you see your members giving of their time, their talent, and their treasure?
It's awesome. We talk about the bad things that are happening in the city and in the world in general. But I always try to remind folks that for every one bad thing that happens, there are hundreds of good things that are happening that's not always publicized. And so when I see folks out, it's just a confirmation that there are hundreds of people out there doing good things that never get publicized, never get put in the newspaper, never get put on television. But we have to really embrace those and let everybody know that that's what is really happening in the world. There are hundreds of people helping others, and that's what we should celebrate.
Truly being beacons of light in a world that needs those action angels doing all that great work. And you've got people like Rosie who runs what he calls an army. It's an army. I mean, you just got some really remarkable members. And, of course, Father Trey Nelson, very supportive of the St. Vincent de Paul Society.
Father Trey has been great. I've heard stories of other priests that were in the parish in terms of how strict they are. But when I go to Father Trey and say, hey, we want to do this, and he's like, okay, make it happen. So he's very supportive, always supports us, make sure that we have what we need in terms of finances and support. We speak at masses, we do our fundraisers, and we serve our people. And that's the important thing. And we try to really be good stewards of the money that the parishioners give to us.
Accountability is very, very important.
Exactly.
And while we're talking, we've got Fred and Ann George behind us.
Lawrence.
They're pulling drugs, and so Fred and Ann, come join us for a second. And, y'all been doing this how many years now?
Almost 20.
Yeah,
20 years, yeah. Yes.
Time flies.
He's a great president, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Does he run the conference like the military, or?
We don't have to salute him.
No, you don't have to salute. So it's only to the good Lord that we salute, right?
That's right.
Yes, indeed. But y'all are active at the pharmacy, your conference. We talked in an earlier segment about Christmas and Thanksgiving baskets. The conference just does a lot, and Father Trey really gets behind us.
Yes, he does. He does. We're getting ready to do the Thanksgiving baskets. We're sending out letters this week, is it?
That's right.
Or next week for the Thanksgiving baskets. And just trying to be busy, helping people come on Monday nights.
Yes. And that's a whole part of the ministry, and 30 people very active in the ministry. And it says a lot about the parishioners at St. Jude, too, as well, to support the work and to really make a difference, right?
They're very generous, very generous. We try to be good stewards of their money also.
Yeah, I mean, Reginald said that, and I think that's just through and throughout. Whatever we do, in the earlier segment, Reginald said, we're not all about administration, although we account for everything. People are not numbers to us. We want to hear their stories, right?
And Ann does a great job. She takes the telephone every once in a while. So we have an opportunity for people to call in practically 24 hours a day, every day. We don't shut down. We always get back to them when they leave a message. And Ann's part of that team that actually answers the phone.
Yeah, and you're wearing a Tiger shirt, and I know you're a big Tiger fan, but no matter what the Tigers do in the field, it's uplifting to do this kind of work, isn't it?
Of course it is, yeah. So we've been doing, at the pharmacy for quite a while.
Yes, you have.
And there's, a lot of needy people, and we really, glad that we can able to do what we do to help these people.
Well, I think one thing, too, with being here at the pharmacy, it's a place that our conferences and all our parishes, whether it's St. Jude or any of the parishes in the Diocese of Baton Rouge, they can refer people in need of their life-sustaining medicines. And y'all were just pulling meds for high blood pressure, diabetic-type medications, all life-sustaining medicines, really making a difference. And at St. Vincent de Paul, that's what we do, but we do it because of great people like Reginald Brown, Fred George, Ann George, and all the people that make up the St. Vincent de Paul family.
Hi, I'm Madison Acaldo from St. Vincent de Paul News. This is from the blog of Manchester University's Catholic Chaplaincy. What does being a Vincentian mean to me? The following thoughts are from a Vincentian named Julie. First off, I believe there is a slight difference in what a Vincentian does versus what a Vincentian is. Many say a Vincentian is one that alleviates the suffering and addresses the needs of those living in poverty. That is true, but I feel that it is more of what a Vincentian does. A Vincentian, to me, is almost more of a state of mind, a different way to see people and the world around us, particularly in regards to those suffering from poverty. Poverty can take many forms. It can mean a lack of money, but it can also refer to a suffering or lack of something crucial in life. Here are some more of her thoughts. Someone with a Vincentian spirit sees people in a different way. While it is hard to describe in words, the simplest way to say, they see people as humans rather than the situation they are in, or the choices they have made in their life. A Vincentian understands the importance of dignity, and that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity, no matter their circumstance. Vincentians believe that those that are marginalized in society often give us and teach us more than we can ever give or teach them. When I started this program, it was about giving of myself, my time, my talents, to others. However, I can honestly say that those that I work with and interact with each and every single day give me much more than I could ever give them. They make a conscious effort to see God in all they do and everyone they meet. They are constantly asking throughout the day, what is God trying to show me or teach me at this moment? It is an attention to providence, the movement and action of God in our daily life and experiences. Vincentians approach experiences and people they meet with an open mind. They recognize the skills, talents, and opportunities with which they have been blessed with, and they call to use these for the good and well-being of others, particularly to alleviate the suffering of the poor and marginalized, not out of pity, but out of respect. As Julie stated, I strive every day to embrace and live up to these ideals, but I am still learning and transforming. I can't wait to see what God has in store for me each and every day. That's this week's St. Vincent de Paul news. Join us again.
At St. Vincent de Paul, we're always asking for people's help. We need help in our ministries, whether it's our dining room, our shelter, or our pharmacy. But today we're asking for your help to get the message out. Right now, our pharmacy is discovering many people that are going without their medicines, maybe because of a high deductible, whatever the case may be, and we want to make sure that if you take a life-sustaining medicine, that you're on it. And that's the message today, right, Kay?
Right. We don't want anybody to go without their medicine if they can't afford it, if they're having financial problems. A lot of people were affected by the flood and added to their financial problems.
Ethel, that's a message. There's no reason anyone in our community should be going without, right?
No, there isn't. We're happy to provide their medicines. We're always here and ready to provide and serve.
And one of the things I think that we've captured every time we've been here, Kay, Ethel, is the fact that this place is motivated by one thing, the gospel message of giving to those in need. And so we can assure everyone that's out there in the audience that if you know somebody that's going without their medicines, come direct them to St. Vincent de Paul. That's the most important message. We're easy to find. Our website, svdpbr.org, or just give us a call at the pharmacy. Kay, what's the pharmacy's number?
383-7450.
And we're open Monday through Friday, and we have virtually every medicine. We don't have any narcotic or controlled substances, but we do have the high blood pressure, heart medicine, diabetic medicine. Those are all the things that are very important to people who desperately need that helping hand. Now, Miss Ethel, you have been with us now a number of years. Why is this work so important?
I think it's so important because it helps so many people that's unable to afford their medicines or are in a financial bind and need it, or the insurance does not pay for the certain medicines that they need, which will also put them in a bind and they won't take their medicines.
And I guess it's uplifting to see somebody that comes in, they're breaking tablets in half, they're going out with, what does that do for your heart when you see that, Kathy?
You know, financially, I could not help people the way I would like to. And St. Vincent de Paul's gives me the opportunity to be able to do things for those people who really need us for life-sustaining medication. And one of the things I'd like to encourage people is don't be too proud to come in. We see people in all different situations, and we don't want that proudness to affect your health.
Yeah, I've seen people break down in tears because they've had to ask.
seen it
Have
too.
you seen it, Miss
I've seen it
Acaldo?
too.
And it hurts your heart to see
Yeah,
that.
it
Why should
really
they be
hurts.
embarrassed?
Yeah.
Well, it's a pride thing. I've been there where they are. And it's hard to, like, go someplace and ask for something when you've been providing for yourself for so many years, you know. So I know how they feel.
And it's that hand up that's so important that
Yeah,
we
yeah.
give.
Yes.
And I think sometimes in the general public, people don't realize that sometimes people need to be pushed to St. Vincent de Paul for help.
Exactly.
They might skip a meal, they may skip a medicine, they may go sleep in their car. Why that should happen, they shouldn't be embarrassed. We're here to help in an uplifting way. And I think that's, again, the primary message we want to get out today is come see us, call us at.
383-7450.
And that's so very important. If you know someone who needs their prescription medicine, especially someone that may be a little embarrassed or humiliated to come, encourage them to come to the St. Vincent de Paul Community Pharmacy. Kay, Ethel, Charlie, and all the great people right here in our pharmacy will be here to help you.
Did you know that the St. Vincent de Paul Dining Room will serve over 250,000 meals this year? We serve a hot lunch and brown bag supper every day, including weekends and holidays, 365 days a year. More than 2,000 volunteers annually serve up the delicious meals prepared by our small kitchen staff.
Frederick Ozanam, the founder of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, once said, "Sons of St. Vincent de Paul, remember the Lord Jesus so that we forget ourselves." In other words, focus on Christ's message of love. That's what Vincent de Paul did, and that's what Frederick Ozanam focused on. Jesus told us that the poor will always be with us. And that's what the St. Vincent de Paul Society is built upon. That notion that the poor will be with us. And it's our faith that calls us to act, to respond to that need. Frederick, 175, almost 200 years ago, they came together in a very powerful way. He debated, as a law student, many things. But one thing that was important to Frederick was his faith. And Vincent de Paul and Vincent de Paul's charism was what Frederick saw as a roadmap, a path, a spiritual journey that he was going to pursue for all the rest of his life, which he did. It was about reaching out to those in need and making a difference and seeing each person as a child of God. That's what Frederick did such a remarkable job of doing, was always responding to those in need in that way, with dignity, with respect. And even though after He founded the society and became a law professor and moved up in the hierarchy of his community. He always focused on serving the poor, going and making a home visit. Because for Frederick, he was not going into just a home, he was going into Christ's home. That's what all the members, 350 plus right here locally, do. They go into Christ's home. They go into the home of the poor, the home of someone who needs that helping hand up. And every member of the society will say they're following Frederick's example. And Frederick would say he's following Vincent de Paul's example. And Vincent de Paul would say he's following Christ's example, because that's what we all say. When we reach out to someone in need, we are making that difference. History tells us that. History repeats itself. And when we look back to history, what lessons do we need to learn? What things can we take from history and put into action today? And that is simply sharing God's love with those in need. We all have that opportunity in our daily lives. We ought to all have a checklist. Prayer. We ought to all have a checklist that also says, how do I put my faith in action? That faith in action is what Christ calls us to do when we make a difference in someone's life. Frederick did it. Vincent de Paul did it. St. Louise de Marlac did it. We're all called to do it. And that's our message to you today. Just do it. At St. Vincent de Paul, we share God's love with those in need. And joining me is Gail Felton, who is a volunteer. How long have you been volunteering with St. Vincent?
I want to say somewhere between 6 and 7 years.
And what are some of your fond memories of volunteering here?
Let's see. I think the fondest memory would be working with the children and the mothers at Sweet Dreams. It's just a joy to see them when we bring a hot meal to them. We do that every quarter with a group that I chair at my church. And we serve them a hot meal, and the kids really enjoy the hot dogs. In fact, we had one mother who said that's all day she had been thinking about a hot dog. And we brought it to her. She had a hot dog with all the fixing and the trimmings. So it's just a pleasure to see them enjoy their food.
It's uplifting to kind of bring something so simple, but really is so, it's like a gift.
Right.
It's like
right.
you gave her $1 million.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, they were all excited. So that's one of my fondest memories. The men, we also serve them. And whenever we bring a hot meal to them, they're just so appreciative. They're just, thank you, thank you, thank you. We haven't had red beans or white beans that taste so good. So it's just a good feeling to see them enjoy their food.
At St. Vincent de Paul, we always say that, it's always important in our lives to do an inventory of the blessings in our lives. Mm-hmm. When you come to serve someone who's in need, mm-hmm. and you bring them something like a hot meal, does it kind of help you grow spiritually to say, thank God,
Yes.
How does it help you grow spiritually?
When you go back, and I have been thinking lately on Matthew 25.
Yes.
Which basically says, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. When I was in prison, you visited me. Yes. Along those lines. So just to know that we're doing what Jesus commanded us to do. It said, when you're doing this to me, you're doing it to the least of my brothers. So that's what we are doing.
And in a real true sense, you're spreading God's love by
That's
doing
right.
that.
That's
Let's
right.
talk about your church, Shiloh, mm-hmm. is doing something special with blankets for our partner, the One Stop. Talk about why that's important.
Well, we started January of this year as an outreach ministry from our church, a combination of the sisterhood and the brotherhood. And any member of the church can get involved.
Yes, ma'am.
It just doesn't have to be those two groups.
Yes, ma'am.
And we started serving a hot meal. And then also toiletries to try to meet the needs of those who are homeless and those who are living at One Stop. And then the Spirit laid upon me, I guess back in October, I was looking at a television program, and there was a young woman, a young lady,
yes, ma'am.
who saw where there were homeless people in her her community, and she wanted to do something. Why are they cold? Why isn't someone helping them? And I thought that would be something that our entire church could get involved in.
Right.
So I went to my pastor and talked to him about it. He said, go for it. And so I got together with Jonah Ministry, which I'm the chair over that group, and the Sisterhood and Brotherhood. And we all got together and presented it to the church. And the members have been just been explosive with it, donating blankets. So far, we're over 150, and we hope to make 200. And then at our next, we always go the second Saturday of the month. So next month, we will also serve a hot meal and toiletries and the blankets. And we're hoping to meet the need of everyone who comes through.
Well, I know you probably would be like all the volunteers, whether it's St. Vincent de Paul or there at the one side. You would say that you came to give, but you get back so much more.
Oh yes, it's just a pleasure. It's just a warm feeling to know that we are sharing God's love as a part of our outreach ministry. Those who need prayer. Randy has allowed a certain section of the building where they can go and have prayer. Those who want to get a hot meal can get a hot meal. Those who need toiletries, and then of course when the blanket drive comes up. So that's it just gives you a warm feeling that you are sharing God's love. You're not just coming together at church on Sunday and hearing the word, but you're also, after you receive that word, you are going out in the community and you're giving to the community.
Well, we thank you for giving to our community, Yale,
Thank
giving
you.
to St. Vincent de Paul and all our
Thank you.
guests. They're so blessed to have you and God's army spreading that love. And we encourage everyone in the community to get involved, make Baton Rouge a better place by seeking those who are often forgotten by society. Seek and find those who are lost and make a difference in our world.
Yes, amen.
Everybody in our community knows about the St. Vincent de Paul Pharmacy. We're there to serve people who have no place to go in their time of need. They came to us desperate. Some people come to us after breaking tablets in half. Often they break down in tears of humiliation, which there's no reason to be embarrassed because you can't afford your heart medicine or diabetic medicine. That's why we're there to help people. Often people who have never asked for help before, but they can't fill that high blood pressure prescription. That's why we need your help. Get involved with the St. Vincent de Paul Society and help us fill prescriptions of life for those in need. Join us at svdpvr.org and see how you can get involved and make your spirit a little healthier.